먹을 것도 많고 볼 것도 많아요.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Quick Korean. Today we will be studying the section 먹을 것도 많고 볼 것도 많아요, or there are so many things to eat and places to see. The topic of today's lesson is traveling. We will learn vocabulary related to travel planning and the grammar points 은 and 을. After studying this lesson, you will be able to talk about your travel plans in Korean. Lastly, in the culture section, we will explore Korea's tourist attraction, Jejudo. Well then, let's get started. First, listen carefully to today's dialogue. In today's dialogue, Mrs. Kim and Miss Cho are having a conversation. Soon, it will be the long holiday. So, Mrs. Kim asks Ms. Cho about her plans for the long holiday. What do you think Ms. Cho will do over the long holiday? Let's take a listen to their conversation and find out.
이번 연휴에 계획 있어요?
가족들하고 제주도에 갈 거예요.
우리 가족도 작년에 갔어요. 제주도는 먹을 것도 많고 볼 것도 많아서 좋아요.
그럼 작년에 간 식당 좀 가르쳐 주세요.
So, were you able to understand the conversation? What is Miss Cho going to do over the long holiday? Right, she's going to Jejudo. Now, before taking a closer look at the conversation, let's first look at the vocabulary and grammar that come out in the dialogue. First, we have the vocabulary section for this lesson. Our first word here is 계획. Now please read along and repeat after me. 계획. 계획. Now, what are you going to do in the future? Well, you think about it, and then you decide. You make a plan, or in Korean, to say plan, we say 계획. Now let's go ahead and say the word together one more time. 계획. Now our next word here is Jejudo. Please read along and repeat after me. Jejudo. Jejudo. Now, Jejudo is the biggest island in Korea. It is located in the southernmost part of Korea. Now, let's go ahead and say the word together one more time. Jejudo. Now, our next word here is 작년. Please follow along and repeat after me. 작년. 작년. Now, based on this calendar, it is 2014. That would make 2013 last year, which in Korean is 작년. Now, let's go ahead and say the word together one more time. 작년. Now, our next word here is 식당. Please follow along and repeat after me. 식당. 식당. Now the cook in this picture here, right here, is making some food. People come here to buy and eat the food. So what is this place? Right, it is a restaurant or 식당 in Korean. Now let's go ahead and say the word together one more time. 식당. Now our next word here is 가르쳐 주세요. Please follow along and repeat after me. 가르쳐 주세요. Now the person in the picture here doesn't know Korean, but she wants to learn Korean. So she asks her friend a favor. Please teach me Korean, or in Korean, 가르쳐 주세요. Now let's go ahead and say this together one more time. 가르쳐 주세요. Now, let's review the words that we just learned in this section. Now, you are thinking about the future and decide things to do. What is this? Right, it's a plan or 계획. Now, this is the biggest island in Korea, and it is located in the southernmost part of Korea. Where is this place? Right, it is Jejudo. Now, on the calendar here, it is January 2014. Then, what does that make 2013? Right, 2013 would be last year or 작년. Now, people come to this place to eat. Where is this? Right, it is called a 식당. Now, the girl in this picture does not know Korean, but she wants to learn. What kind of favor could she ask of her friend? Right, she could ask, 가르쳐 주세요. She could say, 한국어를 가르쳐 주세요. Or, please teach me Korean. Excellent.
이번 연휴에 계획 있어요?
가족들하고 제주도에 갈 거예요.
우리 가족도 작년에 갔어요. 제주도는 먹을 것도 많고 볼 것도 많아서 좋아요.
그럼 작년에 간 식당 좀 가르쳐 주세요.
Now, let's take a look at the dialogue for this section. In today's dialogue, we have a conversation between Mrs. Kim and Miss Cho. Now, the long holiday is coming up, so together they're discussing their plans for the long holiday. So, we can see here, Mrs. Kim starts by asking, 이번 연휴에 계획 있어요? Or, do you have plans for this long holiday? So, what kind of plans does Miss Cho have? Well, she responds by saying, 가족들하고 제주도에 갈 거예요. So, what is she going to do? She's going to Jejudo with her family. So here, Mrs. Kim also adds what? 우리 가족도 작년에 갔어요. Or that her family also went last year. So what kind of place is Jejudo? How does she describe it? Well, Mrs. Kim described it as 제주도는 먹을 것도 많고 볼 것도 많아서 좋아요. So why does she like Jejudo? Well, you can see here, there are a lot of things to eat, 먹을 것도 많고, and you can see there are a lot of things to see, 볼 것도 많아서. So you can see that's why Mrs. Kim likes Jejudo. So after hearing this, Miss Jo makes a request. She says, 그럼 작년에 간 식당 좀 가르쳐 주세요. So you could see here, 작년에 간. So the one she went to last year, she wants her to tell her about some good places to eat, some restaurants in Jejudo. So she makes a request right here. So what do you think? Do you think Miss Cho will have a good time in her trip to Jejudo? Yeah, I think so too. Anyway, let's go ahead and then look at the grammar that comes from this dialogue. Our first grammar point here is 는 or un. Now, this un is similar to the nun that we learned in the previous lesson, in that this is used to describe a noun with an action. However, the action in this case takes place in the past. So let's go ahead and take a look at an example. Our first example here is 작년에 간 식당 좀 가르쳐 주세요. So let's first look at this back part here. We have the noun 식당, and combined together we have 식당 좀 가르쳐 주세요. Or tell me about some places to eat. Now, what kind of places are we talking about here? Well, if you look at the front part, we have 작년에 갔어요. Or I went last year. Now, to describe this 식당 or restaurant as the one I went to last year, you could see that we add this n sound here to the 가, and you can see that this ends up describing this, and we get 작년에 간 식당, or the restaurant you went to last year. Now let's go ahead and read through this sentence together. Please repeat after me. 작년에 간 식당 좀 가르쳐 주세요. Great. Now let's go ahead and take a look at another example. Our next example here is 작년에 읽은 책을 어제 다시 읽었어요. So if we first look at this back part here, what do we have? We have check, book, And if we read through it, we have 책을 어제 다시 읽었어요. Or that I read the book again yesterday. Now, what kind of book is it? Well, if we look at the front here, we have this 작년에 읽다, or the one that I read last year. So now, to describe this book here as the one I read last year, you can see at the 작년에 읽다, we add this and after this this here ends up describing this book, and we get, in this part here, the book I read last year, 작년에 읽은 책. Now, let's go ahead and read through the sentence together. Please repeat after me. 작년에 읽은 책을 어제 다시 읽었어요. Excellent. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the usage in greater detail. Now this is again used together with action verbs and is used to describe nouns such as, in this case we have 식당 and 책. Now let's first take a look at this 가다 here. And as you can see, 가다 does not end in a consonant. Right here you can see it ends in a vowel. So when we have verbs that end in a vowel, we just simply add this final consonant sound n and put it in kind of the empty spot there, and we get 간. Now if we take a look at 읽다 down here, what do you notice? It ends in a consonant. So when we have a verb that ends in a consonant, we add this right here, and we get 읽은. Now let's go ahead and read through these examples together. Please repeat after me. 가다, 간. 읽다, 읽은. Well done. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the next grammar point. The next grammar point here is 을. Now this 을, just like the we looked at and the nun we looked at last time, is used to describe a noun with an action. The only difference in this case is that the action takes place in the future. So let's go ahead and take a look at an example here. We have 먹을 것도 많고 볼 것도 많아서 좋아요. So recall, this is what Mrs. Kim told Miss Jo. So here, what do we have? We have 것, here, these things. So 것도 많고, so a lot of things. And here we have, again, 것도 많아서, a lot of things. So what kind of things do we have here? Well, in the first example here, we have 먹다. And how would we say things to eat? Or in other words, things you will eat, talking about the future. Well, here we add this 을 to this 먹다 here. And what ends up happening is this describes this 것 right here. So we get 먹을 것도 많고. In other words, in English, that would be a lot of things to eat. Here in the back, similarly, we have 보다 right here. And what happens with 보다? Well, this 르 sound is added. And this ends up describing this. So we get 볼 것도 많아서. In other words, a lot of things to see. And by combining this, we can describe different nouns such as here. So let's go ahead and read through the sentence together. Please repeat after me. 먹을 것도 많고 볼 것도 많아서 좋아요. Great. Now let's go ahead and take a look at another example. Our next example here is 이 책이 우리가 함께 읽을 책이에요. So again, what is the noun here? We have this 책. So in the back we have 책이에요, or it is a book. Now what kind of book is this? If we look at the front part here, we have 이 책이, and then we have 우리가 함께 읽을 책. So if you look at this, 우리가 함께 읽다, or the one we read together. Now here, to describe the book, what do? At the back of 읽다, we have this 을, and what ends up happening is this describes the book back here, and what results is we get 우리가 함께 읽을 책, or in English, the book that we will read together. Now let's go ahead and read through the sentence together. Please repeat after me. 이 책이 우리가 함께 읽을 책이에요. Excellent. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the usage in greater detail. Now this 을 is used together with action verbs, and again, it is used, the action here takes place in the future, and it describes nouns such as, here we have 것, which means things, and 책 or book. Now in the first case here with 먹다, you can see that 먹다 ends in a consonant right here. So since it ends in a consonant, we use this 을 to get 먹을. Now what about 보다? As you can see, 보다 does not end in a consonant. It ends in a vowel. So what ends up happening is all we do is we add this final 느 sound and kind of place it in that empty spot to get us 볼. In the last example, similar to 먹다, you can see that 읽다 here, it ends in a consonant right here. So since it ends in a consonant, we use 을 here to get us 읽을. Now let's go ahead and read through the examples together. Please repeat after me. 먹다, 먹을, 보다, 볼, 읽다, 읽을. Well done. Now let's go ahead and listen to the dialogue once more.
이번 연휴에 계획 있어요?
가족들하고 제주도에 갈 거예요.
우리 가족도 작년에 갔어요. 제주도는 먹을 것도 많고 볼 것도 많아서 좋아요.
그럼 작년에 간 식당 좀 가르쳐 주세요.
Now, let's take another look at the dialogue. This time, let's read through it together. Listen and repeat after me. 이번 연휴에 계획 있어요? 가족들하고 제주도에 갈 거예요. 우리 가족도 작년에 갔어요. 제주도는 먹을 것도 많고 볼 것도 많아서 좋아요. 그럼 작년에 간 식당 좀 가르쳐 주세요. Now, let's go through the dialogue again. This time, you read the role of Miss Cho.
이번 연휴에 계획 있어요? 우리 가족도 작년에 갔어요. 제주도는 먹을 것도 많고 볼 것도 많아서 좋아요.
Great. Now let's go through the dialogue once more. This time, you read the role of Mrs. Kim.
가족들하고 제주도에 갈 거예요. 그럼 작년에 간 식당 좀 가르쳐 주세요.
Well done. Now it's time for speaking practice. In this section, we will practice using 은, which we learned a little earlier. Take a look at the picture and complete the sentence. Now in this picture here, the movie is a little scary. Now here we have a movie or 영화 in Korean. Now, when did he watch this movie? Right, we see it right here, 지난 일요일 or last Sunday. Now, so what kind of movie was it? It was a movie that he saw last Sunday. So, in Korean, we can say 지난 일요일에 본 영화는 조금 무서웠어요. Right? So, all together, once again, 지난 일요일에 본 영화는 조금 무서웠어요. Now in this picture here, we have a student right here, And his name is Sam. Written in Korean, it's like this right here. Sam. Now, he is introducing himself to the rest of the class. As you can see in the picture, he came from Australia. Now in Korean, we say Australia as 호주. So, how would you say that he came from Australia? Right. As you can see here, he would say 안녕하세요. 호주에서 온 쌤이에요. Now this time, 혜진 asks 준수, right here, 음식이 뭐예요? Or, what kind of food is that? So she is asking about 음식 or food. But he ate it when? Yesterday or 어제. So what kind of food is this? She's asking about food he ate yesterday. So how would she ask the question about food he ate yesterday? She would say 어제 먹은 음식이 뭐예요? Now 준수 responds 비빔밥이에요. Or it was bibimbap. Now the food that 준수 ate yesterday was bibimbap. In Korean we can say 어제 준수가 먹은 음식은 비빔밥이에요. Now this time let's practice using 을, which we learned a little earlier. Now 혜진 once again asks a question, and you can see in the back part it says 영화가 뭐예요? Or what is the movie? So she is asking about a movie, and you can see from the front part of the question here, it's a movie that they will see in the future. In fact, tomorrow or 내일. So she would ask 준수 내일 볼 영화가 뭐예요? And 준수 responds, you can see, 슈퍼맨이에요, or Superman. So the movie he will see tomorrow is Superman. In Korean, we can say 준수가 내일 볼 영화는 슈퍼맨이에요. Now here, 혜진 asks 준수 a question once again. You can see in the back part of the question it says 음식이 뭐예요? So she is asking about food. Now, what is she asking about? She's asking about what he will eat for dinner tonight. As you can see here, she says 오늘 저녁, which means this evening. So, how would she ask then what he will eat for dinner tonight? Well, she would say 오늘 저녁에 먹을 음식이 뭐예요? So 준수 responds right here, 불고기예요. So in other words, he will eat 불고기. Now, to say that the food that he will eat is 불고기, in Korean we can say 오늘 저녁에 먹을 음식은 불고기예요. Great! Now it's time for listening practice. 준수 and 혜진 are having a conversation. 준수 is asking 혜진 about her plans over the school break. What do you think she will do over the break? Let's listen to their conversation.
혜진 씨, 이번 방학 계획이 있어요?
친구들하고 경주에 갈 거예요.
저도 지난 방학에 갔어요. 경주는 볼 것도 많고 호텔도 깨끗해서 좋아요.
그럼 지난 방학에 간 호텔 좀 가르쳐 주세요.
Were you able to understand the conversation? Let's check your understanding by answering a few questions. Now our first question here, question number 1 asks, 혜진 씨는 이번 방학에 어디에 갈 거예요? Or where is 혜진 going over the school break? Now our answer choices here are 공주 and 경주. So do you remember where she will be going over the school break? Right, she says that she is going to 경주, so the answer would be 경주. Now our next question, question number 2 asks, 준수 씨는 언제 경주에 갔어요? Or when did 준수 go to 경주? Now our answer choices here are 지난 방학 or last break or 이번 방학, this break. So do you remember when he went to Gyeongju? Right, he went to Gyeongju last break, so the correct answer would be 지난 방학. Well done. Now it's time for the Vocabulary Plus section. In this section, we will look at more words related to travel plans. Now our first word here is 사진을 찍다. So in the picture, you can see the group of people here went traveling. They brought a camera with them. They are taking a lot of pictures. In Korean, we can say 사진을 많이 찍어요, or that they are taking a lot of pictures. So with this, we can say 여행지에서 사진을 많이 찍어요. Now our next word here is 시내 구경을 하다. Now 시내 literally means inside the city. So this person here is exploring 인사동, 명동, and 신촌, which are all located in Seoul, with his friend. Now they saw a number of different things. They went sightseeing, or in Korean we can say 구경을 했어요. Now we can say about them 친구와 함께 서울 시내 구경을 했어요. Now our next word here is 휴양을 하다. Now take a look at this picture here. You can see that Junsu is resting. He looks comfortable and relaxed. He is taking time off, or in Korean, we would say 휴양을 해요. Now about Junsu, we can say 리조트에서 휴양을 할 거예요. Now our next phrase here is 문화 체험을 하다. Now here in this picture, this person came to Korea. He is making pottery himself. He is experiencing Korean culture. In Korean, we can say 한국 문화 체험을 해요, or that he is experiencing Korean culture. About him, we can say 한국 문화 체험을 하고 싶어요. Now our next word here is 단체 여행. Now these people in the picture came traveling with other people. They are on a group tour, or 단체 여행. Now about this we can say 한국으로 단체 여행을 왔어요. Now our next word here is 자유여행. Now this time the person is traveling by himself. He can go wherever he wants. He is freely traveling, or in Korean we say 자유여행. So about this we can say 자유여행으로 제주도에 갑니다. Now let's practice using the words that we just learned, using these pictures here. Now you can see there's a question being asked here. The question is 이번 여행에 뭘 했어요? Or what did they do on this trip? Now if we look at the first picture here, we have the man making pottery for himself. So what could we say about him? Right, we could say 한국 문화 체험을 했어요. Now, on to the next picture. Again, we have the same question. 이번 여행에 뭘 했어요? Or what did they do on this trip? So look at the picture here. What did they do? Right, they took a lot of pictures. In Korean, we can say 사진을 많이 찍었어요. Now, moving on to this last picture here. Again, we have the same question. 이번 여행에 뭘 했어요? So, what did they do on this trip? It looks like they went and saw different sites in Seoul. So, we can say 시내 구경을 했어요. Now, let's go through the responses one more time. Recall the question was 이번 여행에 뭘 했어요? Now, the responses here are 한국 문화 체험을 했어요. In the next picture, 사진을 많이 찍었어요. And finally, in the last picture, 시내 구경을 했어요. Well done! Finally, it is time for the Korean culture section. Last time, if you remember, we looked at Korea's port city, Busan. This time, we will look at Korea's tourist attraction, Jejudo. What kind of place do you think Jejudo is? Let's take a look and find out.
한국의 관광휴양지 제주도. 제주도는 한국의 남단에 있는 화산섬으로 돌, 여자, 바람이 많다고 하여 삼다도라고 불립니다. 바다와 한라산, 올레길, 싱싱한 해산물, 해녀, 그리고 밀감으로 유명한 이곳은 한국의 대표적인 휴양 관광지이며 신혼여행지입니다. 최근에는 다양한 전시관, 박물관이 생겨나 볼거리가 더욱 많아졌습니다.
Now, let's go over what we just learned today. Today's topic was traveling. We learned about vocabulary related to travel planning and the grammar points un and ul. Finally, in the culture section, we explored Korea's tourist attraction, Jejudo. So, how do you feel? Do you think you can now talk about your travel plans in Korean? Great! Well, this brings us to the end of this lesson. See you next time!